Okay, we are now in week 2 of Cerul's 25% discount on all Cerul products during the month of March. Again, Beth and I have taken Cerul products for 72 months now because they work, and we wholeheartedly support them. Just use code SAVE25 at checkout. Just click the link below to see for yourself.
Okay, are you sure? Okay, well, welcome back to the Saturday with the Stills. We missed last Saturday because Bill was out of town. And so now we're back. And I really did appreciate several people sent me a message that said, "Are you all okay?" Yes, we are fine. We are doing very well. In fact, for the last 2 mornings in a row, I've had the pleasure of seeing a bald eagle. And the first morning it came, I wasn't able to get a picture of it before it flew away. Then I asked God to send him back. And lo and behold, the next morning he came back, and I was able to get myself into a position to get really a great shot of this bald eagle flying over the lake. And so I thought it was great, and I have a feeling that my husband will put up that picture as an asset to this, to show you that in spite of all that we are going through in this country and all we are going to go through, because there's going to be some tough times ahead, America is coming back. We're not over. God is not finished with America. And so I felt like that eagle, that I'd never seen a bald eagle before in my entire life. And there he was, 100 feet in front of me.
I've only seen them flying around occasionally, but very rarely.
And not that close.
Right.
So I took that as a sign from God, especially since I asked him to send him back, and he did the very next morning. Yeah, it was totally unexpected on my part. Anyway, there is a lot going on, of course, and one of the things that struck me with all the other news is that Ron DeSantis, thank you, is back being governor, which he never should have stepped out of that role.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job.
And he's doing a great job. And one of the things that just happened recently was he captured, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but they stopped a ship coming from Haiti, which wasn't just, poor, pitiful people. These were basically soldier-age males. They had guns, they had drugs, and they had money on that. And they stopped them in Florida. And I wanted to say, where do you think they got the drugs, the money, and the guns? From us.
Who's the head of Haiti right now? Nothing but a gangster, a literal gangster.
Well, but my point is, our own government, and I will be proven right, I'm sure, has supplied these people with whatever they need to come here to wreak havoc on our country. And one of the things that they are wanting to do is, for martial law, whatever you want to call it, to stop the elections from happening. And they are paying these people to come across from all these different countries. They're paying the countries to let loose their prisons or whatever, because their plan is to stop the elections, A, B, to kill as many of us as possible. That's what I'm seeing. And so we need to continue to ask God to protect us, to continue to thwart these plans. Thank goodness that Florida caught that boat.
Ask God to smite them.
Put down the enemy. And in any case, there's that. And then
Before we go away from Haiti, I just happened to read up on this. That's one of the stories I was going to do, because the situation is so terrible. And the Biden administration, as usual, is doing nothing but giving the money. Even after the gangster, he's put in another $100 million or something like that. And then another Another waster of money, the Clinton Foundation spent $170 million for a new port facility. There's no port facility. They don't know where the money went.
Exactly. And this is, if you remember during the 2016 elections, a bunch of good Haitian citizens protesting Hillary Clinton with signs that said, "Where's our money?" I mean, because of course the whole Clinton Foundation thing was a big scam, but she promised them all this help, and she did not deliver. Of course, we don't know what happened to the money. We can only
Biden's
guess.
finding the worst possible places to put money and sending lots of money there, and he's probably sent almost $1 billion, maybe only $500 million or $750 million. I don't know, and of course that's nothing compared to what he sent to Iran, which was an additional $5 billion just in the latest tranche.
Geez, and what has Iran done with that money?
They're giving it to these terrorist people.
Hamas, Hezbollah, whoever. So there's that. There's also on Monday, the 18th, the Supreme Court will hear the case of Missouri versus Biden, which is really a huge case that nobody seems to be talking about. And that is this censorship that they did where they would not, they got the social media, Facebook, Twitter, etc., to suppress information and to also knock off certain people who were using these like Twitter, Facebook, etc. accounts when they would post things about the vaccines or COVID or whatever it was that they didn't like. So this is a case being brought, the Supreme Court is going to hear on Monday, the 18th, that is a Missouri Attorney General and other people have jumped on with him to get the Supreme Court to rule that the federal government cannot influence social media entities, I don't know what the word is you want, in censoring speech. And because that's exactly what they are doing. They are censoring speech, and they knocked out a bunch of accounts. So that's a big case. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Supreme Court votes on this, rules on this, whether they do the thing that is righteous and good, or whether they, whatever. So that's interesting. It also seems that all the cases against President Trump are treading water. Fani Willis.
Falling apart in one way or another.
And the proper pronunciation of her name is Fani, but I refuse to say that. I prefer to call her Fanny.
I suspect that her mother called her Fanny, and that she wanted something a little more upscale for her new social status, so it's Fawny.
Yeah, Fawny.
Or maybe Fawneye.
Fanny, or Fanny, or
Infamy.
Yeah, something like that. So that case is the judge, in my opinion, and I'm not just, this isn't just my opinion. I listen to these legal eagles like certain judges that have weighed in on this. Jonathan Turley has weighed in on this. Jonathan Turley said, how is it one person is guilty and the other one isn't? How can you say that either you or one or the other of you is
right,
more...
They were a couple, both at work and at play.
Exactly. They both did the same thing, and they both lied. And the other thing that I found interesting was the judge ruled that one of the witnesses his testimony was found to be too inconsistent. Is that a nice way of saying lied? I mean, and when your testimony is inconsistent, it means you say one thing one time and say something else the next time. Which one of those is a lie?
Both of them. They both lied.
No, I mean his testimony. I'm not talking about Nathan Wade. I'm talking about the Terrence Bradley testimony. The judge said that his testimony was too inconsistent. That one time he said one thing, one time he said another. But that's just another way of saying he lied. That's my point.
There's a lot of lying going on, and
so and this judge, there are a couple of things going on with him. First of all, he worked for Fanny Phony, that's it. He worked for her.
Phony, yeah. That's a good one.
That's a good one, Phony. But also, too, he is up for re-election, and the person who is running against him is a really far left person to take it. So he wants to hold on to his seat, his whatever you call it, judgeship, whatever. And so therefore that could be what's going on with that. The Alvin Bragg case has been delayed, 30-day extension. Now, why would the prosecutor's the one who said, oh yes, we can have a 30-day extension? What? Because his cases, all these cases seem to be falling apart. The documents case is ridiculous. There were 6 counts. 3 of them affected President Trump, but the other 3 affected other people that were literally thrown out on this RICO case, I guess. Fanny.
That's not the documents case, though.
No. I'm sorry. I'm going back. The RICO case, there were 6 total counts thrown out. 3 of them against President Trump. The other 3 with some of the other people, where the judge said you can't claim. They didn't have enough evidence to claim them. What they did
To support the allegations.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that has happened. The Alvin Bragg's case has been put off, and the Alvin Bragg case is the case about Stormy Daniels, the payoff that he lied about. I don't know whatever's going on with that, but it's kind of interesting that she was found guilty and had to pay Trump, and how in the world this ended up. The whole thing is just a big mess. And every time you turn around, there's a boomerang effect that's happened. We have said before that Haman was hung on the gallows that he erected for Mordecai, and that seems to be what you see happening with this. I mean, Fannie Willis, I don't think this is the end of her trouble, because the Georgia senators, the Georgia legislature is investigating her, I believe.
Right.
Right? So
smite them all, Lord.
Yes.
Smite.
Yeah, when you read your Old Testament, as Bill was saying last night, we don't want to cross God. I don't want to be on the wrong side of Him. So no, we don't.
I think exactly what I said was, if I found out that I had crossed God, I would immediately prostrate myself.
beg for mercy. Exactly. And so there are all kinds of things as. It just seems like everything is going quicker and more things are happening.
It's all going to fall apart. Every single one of them is going to fall apart.
It is going to fall apart.
And it's not going to fall apart on their timeline. It's going to fall apart at the most consequential time that will hurt them all.
And I think that the Democrats, I mean, you can see the chaos in the Democrats. And what Chuck Schumer made the most ridiculous statement about Israel. I mean, they are desperate to hold on to Michigan and Minnesota. Right. So now they're coming out against Israel, which also is not really good if you think about it from God's perspective. But they're going to find themselves in a world of hurt if they keep going in the way that they're going. I just see it. What I think the Democrats are doing is they're trying to figure out how to replace Biden. They can't replace him with Harris. They have to figure out whether they force him to resign, whether they allow him to be impeached and then vote for him to be, or what exactly they are going to do.
Or they trot in Newsom from California. And speaking of that, the senatorial, it's a multi-candidate function, which was won by Adam Schiff, and the baseball player's name.
Steve Garvey.
Oh, way to go. I was the one that remembered it last night, but she got it today.
Garvey.
Steve Garvey is winning that, but there were 3 Democrats in the race, and so when you add up the vote of all the Democrats, Garvey's probably going to lose. But word is from...
well, the Gateway Pundit had an article that Gavin Newsom had asked for some Democrat ballots
Right, to produce
Yeah.
more ballots. Pretty much the same thing Trump did, and is now being skewered for it by Fannie or Fannie, or what do we say on
Phony.
Phony?
Phony.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, word is from insiders in California is that they're experimenting right now with how many fake ballots they can push into the system without people realizing that it's happening, and that comes from a really good source.
Yes. The Gateway Pundit wrote an article on that just the other day. So it is.
They're going to do everything they can possibly do.
They are. And I tell you what, if I lived in California, I would do whatever it took to not let Adam Schiff be your senator. I mean, I don't understand. If you were a normal American, why would you want such a liar as that as your senator?
Yeah, but if he did become senator and we took control of the Congress, we could quickly impeach him.
Yes, and speaking of taking control of the Congress, the Republicans are doing everything they can to not have control of the House. And that is just recently Buck, who wasn't really a very good Republican, but still it's the number. People say, well, I'd rather have, might as well have a Democrat. No. Even if a Republican isn't voting the way you want them to vote, we need the majority in the House. Getting rid of a Republican and replacing him with a Democrat is not a good thing. And right now we have a, 2-person majority because Ken Buck decided he wasn't going to run for re-election, but he suddenly announced that he is retiring this week for whatever reason.
To give the Democrats an edge on something they want, such as re-enlisting the FISA legislation that allows for government spying. It looks like that's going to be re-upped.
Yes.
Congress is going to vote for that.
And they're coming after TikTok. They're trying to ban TikTok, which...
Well, I'm in favor of that. Get rid.
Well,
when you see the...
I don't like TikTok either, but I feel like it falls under free speech, and if they can get rid of TikTok, then they can get rid of...
Yeah, but...
I just don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's causing a lot of people to wonder which way they're supposed to go here. But TikTok, the American version of TikTok is just terrible. They've aimed it directly at kids to try to put them on the wrong road. And the TikTok that the Chinese kids see is, work hard, be a good citizen.
Well, and I agree with that. Except that I heard some commentator who made a really good point about it, and that is, TikTok is bad, but Facebook is really just as bad. And where does it stop? If they ban one social media, whatever, then they'll ban another one, and then they might ban one that we don't want them to ban. I don't know. I just don't.
They probably should just forget about getting anything useful through until we take back the House and the Senate.
And get rid of some of the rhinos.
Yeah.
Get rid of some of those people. So, what else do we have that we wanted to talk about?
I don't know. I'm just sitting here enjoying your recitation of events.
Well, there was something else in my pea brain, but it went out quickly of my little pea brain. So
doesn't matter. We can edit it out. We can just sit here until we remember. It's as simple as that.
Yes, we can. We can sit here until we remember. I always want to end with the same thing, and that is hope, hope, hope. God has promised, and He is keeping His promise if you're paying attention,
Right.
to expose and expose and expose all of the evil that our government is involved in. And if they think that they have hidden anything, if they think they've deleted something, if they think they've gotten away with something, they need to think again. Because the God of heaven can, if He wants to recreate a piece of paper, a document, or whatever it is that is necessary, because it is His desire to bring America back to where we should have been and haven't been in a very long time. And we are seeing, I believe, in fact, Greg Kelly recently just interviewed President Trump in a great interview where he asked him if he believed the hand of God was with him, because all of these cases are falling apart. It seems like everything he does, or everything they try to do against him comes back on them. And President Trump kind of said, well, there's something that's helping me. He didn't really come out, well, how can you say, yes, God is with me? I mean, that's kind of but in any case, the hand of God, even people who are not believers necessarily have begun to say,
something's holding this guy up.
Holding him up, because there's no way a human being on their own could possibly withstand all that he has had to withstand. Andrew Jackson had a hard time. Abraham Lincoln was given a hard time, but I don't think either one of them have faced what President Trump has faced. So, God bless President Trump. Lord have mercy on the United States of America. Let Bibi stand strong against those who want the demise of Israel. Put our enemies under our footstool. Let no weapon formed against us prosper. Amen.
Amen.
Until next time.
Okay, we forgot something. So, Beth wanted to talk about Boeing. The Boeing whistleblower.
Lately, we've had several Boeing jets that have had issues with having to basically crash land, if you will. And just recently, a whistleblower of Boeing who said that, they were doing nefarious things.
They were just cutting corners on safety.
Had already, well, that seems nefarious to me when it's people's lives at stake. But he was in the midst of testifying to this fact. He had already given 1 day of testimony. He was supposed to come back for another day of testimony, and he was mysteriously suicided. And
shot himself in the head in his truck, in his vehicle.
Yes, and his attorneys are insisting that he did not commit suicide, and they are asking for an investigation, and I think that an investigation is probably warranted. And you wanted to...
Yeah, I wanted to remind people that I'm doing a 3-part series on monetary reform. The first one was the basics, and then the second one, which went up last night or the night before, was more specific, and then the final one will probably go up today. And you should check it out. It's the only way we can get out of our national debt problem, and we can get out of it very easily, just by, as the debt is in the form of different forms of bonds, from short-term to long-term. And all we have to do is to, as these bonds come due, we pay them off. We don't stiff the bondholders. We pay them off, but we just pay them off instead of Federal Reserve notes with old United States notes, the notes with the red seal. That's all you have to do.
And this is something you have been talking about for 40
longer than I've known you.
For numerous years, going all the way back to I don't know when. But in any case, I would encourage you to find the on his YouTube channel, which is actually called Beth News, and the Rumble channel, which is the Still Report on Rumble, and so you can't miss it. If you missed it, go back and catch it.
Okay, so we're done.
I think we're done. Have a nice Sabbath. Bye.